I was like, wow, this is embarrassing for the WNBA.
Honestly, not going to apologize for that. I'm a competitor. I want to win. I shouldn't get over that. I should use it as fuel, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm working really hard. I'm doing everything I can to use Unrivaled for exactly what I was built to, build my game. Like, I wish we were treated better in our other places of work, you know? But also
Napheesa Collier just got suspended by the WNBA after shamelessly promoting her rival league, Unrivaled, during official league events. She and Breanna Stewart, both Unrivaled co-founders, are somehow also leading WNBPA contract talks.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with it, is just using it as fuel for the next time I'm playing in the W season, because it sucks to lose. And as a professional athlete, everyone feels that way.
The public called it sabotage, and the league finally snapped before things spiraled completely out of control.
WNBA finals right now, I'm just thinking about making myself better.
For sure. Well, I mean, you had a phenomenal season.
You thought the WNBA All-Star Draft was going to be a celebration? A night of unity, sportsmanship, maybe even a few fun moments that make headlines for the right reasons?
Napheesa shamelessly self-promoted in the All-Star Game draft?
Well, surprise. Napheesa Collier had other plans. Because apparently, the biggest priority on national television during a WNBA event aired on ESPN, mind you, wasn't to support her team, the league, or even the All-Star platform itself. Nope. She decided this was the perfect time to shamelessly plug her little side gig, Unrivaled.
You can't be overly happy with the manner in which Napheesa Collier conducted herself during the WNBA All-Star Draft.
Not subtly, not professionally, but full-blown promotional overkill. And the cherry on top? She walked onto that ESPN broadcast wearing a giant Unrivaled shirt, like she was showing up to a sponsored TikTok collab instead of repping the Minnesota Lynx or respecting the Indiana Fever, who were hosting the damn event.
You wore your Lunar Owls Unrivaled shirt. You just wore an Unrivaled shirt.
Let's get this straight. The WNBA All-Star Draft isn't just some random segment on local TV. It's a national broadcast. It's one of the few times a year when the WNBA gets a serious spotlight on a major network. And Collier used that golden moment to push a league she co-owns.
You wore it on air, and then you mentioned the league that you co-own like 5 times in the first 15 minutes.
Within just 15 minutes of airtime, she mentioned Unrivaled multiple times, name-dropping her Lunar teammate and co-founder Breanna Stewart like she was hosting a promo stream, not participating in an official WNBA event. Honestly, it felt less like a draft and more like an infomercial for a product nobody asked for.
And I'm sure she thought, well, this is my way to shade the people that says there's a conflict of interest. No, it was a great way to prove everybody right.
And here's the wild part. ESPN doesn't even air Unrivaled games. Zero incentive, zero connection. So you're out here on their platform promoting a rival product like you're the face of disruption. Girl, this isn't Silicon Valley. It's not cute. It's not clever. It's downright disrespectful. The event became less about honoring the sport and more about pushing her startup league like she was pitching it to investors on Shark Tank.
And keep in mind, ESPN doesn't broadcast Unrivaled games at all. They've got no interest in Unrivaled blowing up because they don't have the rights to any games.
Now let's talk about the franchise betrayal. Minnesota Lynx, her actual WNBA team, got zero acknowledgement. The Indiana Fever, hosting this supposedly proud moment for the league, got nothing but background noise while Collier turned the camera into a one-woman hype train for her side business. Fans were confused. Even the diehard ones started asking, wait, are we watching WNBA content or an ad for some bootleg spin-off league? And they weren't wrong. Because this wasn't an accidental name slip. It was intentional, planned, and repeated.
But that was a WNBA product, and it became a promotional tool for another league. You're trying to tell me Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart have the best interest of the WNBA players?
Moving on to the bigger issue, Unrivaled itself. Launched in 2023, supposedly as a beacon for women's basketball and player empowerment, it's now become a full-blown headache for the WNBA. Let's be honest, If you're co-founding a rival league and then parading its name around during official events, you're not empowering anyone. You're undermining the very institution that gave you your platform. The irony is hilarious. Collier is still cashing WNBA checks while dragging fan attention, sponsor confidence, and brand equity away from the league that made her relevant in the first place. That's not empowerment, that's sabotage.
And being really present, like I'm so focused on Unrivaled right now. I want to win this championship right now.
The fact that Unrivaled doesn't even air on ESPN makes this even worse. It contributes nothing to the WNBA ecosystem, yet Collier had the audacity to use the WNBA's own house to advertise it. Think about that. You're standing in someone else's living room, crashing their party and trying to sell your own brand to their guests. You really thought that would fly? This wasn't some accidental slip-up. This was a calculated, deliberate choice to plug a brand that directly competes for viewership, attention, and possibly players. And all while standing in front of ESPN cameras. Bold? Maybe. Smart? Absolutely not.
Such a phenomenal league so far. But is there this element of also just like
in the WNBA still fills a hole because it still allows us to grow our game and to build our brand sponsorships, which a lot of people don't realize that we make most of our money off the court.
But hey, if you thought that was bad, let's take a look at the numbers. Because Unrivaled is definitely not taking the world by storm. Some of its games have barely scratched 85,000 views. That's right, not even six figures. Meanwhile, WNBA All-Star broadcasts bring in several 100,000 viewers consistently. And Napheesa still thought it was a good idea to hijack that exposure, torch that spotlight, and toss her own league's credibility into a dumpster fire for the sake of clout and branding.
Athlete, everyone feels that way. That's why we're great, because you hate losing. So I'm kind of just using it to better myself because you can't change the past, but hopefully I can, do a different outcome for the future.
You're at a nationally televised WNBA event and you decide to waste airtime on a fledgling side hustle that isn't even proving it can survive a full season? Unrivaled's viewership barely registers in sports media. It's not even a blip on ESPN's radar. And you're trying to act like it's some revolutionary thing worth sacrificing real-time exposure for the actual league that pays your bills? Get real.
And she gave him a middle finger by talking about the Unrivaled League. I got to give Caitlin Clark credit. That trading Cheryl Reeves hating ass off her team was beautiful.
And don't even get me started on the impact this has on sponsors and business partners. Companies sign up to associate with professionalism, with legacy, with a polished brand, not with a player who hijacks corporate broadcasts to market her own league like she's running a pop-up shop. It screams rookie startup energy. It tells advertisers, hey, invest in us, but we might turn your airtime into a self-promotion fest for something you're not even involved in. You think that inspires confidence?
Hey, Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier are even involved in this. All right. Why are they even involved? So, anyway.
And let's not forget timing. While all this is happening, the WNBA is negotiating to expand their season to 50 games. They're trying to expand team rosters. They're fighting to prove they're worthy of more media deals, more coverage, and more money. Meanwhile, Napheesa Collier is on the front lines showing owners and sponsors exactly why they should hesitate to put another dollar into this mess. She's not just derailing a moment, she's making the league look chaotic and unprofessional when stability is exactly what they need.
Wearing an Unrivaled shirt for the WNBA draft, but wants to pretend there's no conflict of interest in CBA negotiations. Laugh out loud.
So while players, fans, and franchise owners are hoping for progress, unity, and long-term deals, Napheesa Collier is out here using a national platform to push her brand, her agenda, and her side league, all while acting like she's still a loyal ambassador for the WNBA. She's not. She's not loyal, she's not subtle, and she's definitely not helping.
I mean, wow. We still pretending the WNBA doesn't have a conflict of interest with Unrivaled after Napheesa shamelessly self-promoted in the All-Star Game draft?
This wasn't some edgy move to disrupt the status quo. It was an ego-fueled, reckless decision that exposed everything wrong with her priorities. She wasn't representing the league. She wasn't representing her team. She was representing her brand, her side project, her own interests. And she used a nationally televised, league-sponsored moment to do it, like the WNBA was just another stepping stone for her startup dreams.
Fee sat on ESPN and pushed Unrivaled propaganda for 30 straight minutes. But there's no conflict of interest, right? Right?
Imagine for a second if Tom Brady had co-founded the XFL while still playing for the Patriots and then walked into the NFL's CBA talks saying, "Don't worry guys, I got this." You'd laugh him out of the room. Yet somehow in the WNBA, this circus is not only allowed, it's leading the negotiations. And it gets worse. If the WNBA fails to strike a deal or if talks fall apart and a lockout happens, guess who benefits? Unrivaled. The very league Collier and Stewart run. It's like having a fox negotiate a new security system for the henhouse.
I say again, as a fan, Unrivaled owners, especially Unrivaled co-founders,
the owners recently floated a proposal for the new CBA that players like Satou Sabally instantly labeled as a slap in the face. Breanna Stewart jumped on that train too, saying the offer ignored everything we said. And look, that could very well be true. But when the people screaming the loudest are the same ones who stand to gain the most from a total breakdown in talks, you've got to question the motive. It's not even subtle. The more frustrated and dramatic Collier and Stewart get about how unfair the league is, the more it feels like they're trying to drive players out of the WNBA and into their own backyard. This isn't leadership, it's manipulation.
The owners came back with an offer. And Satou Sabally said it was a slap in the face. Breanna Stewart echoed that sentiment on Thursday by saying it felt like the players were, quote, ignored.
And then came the backlash. Because fans aren't stupid, and social media definitely wasn't going to let this one slide. After Collier's little all-star stunt where she turned ESPN into a glorified Unrivaled promo, the internet lit her up. Screenshots of her bold Unrivaled shirt exploded across X like wildfire, with fans and commentators calling it what it was, a sabotage mission hiding behind a smile. And not even a good one.
This is a screenshot. That right there is an Unrivaled shirt. That's an Unrivaled logo on Collier's,
People joked, no, actually roasted, her for treating the All-Star draft like a brand deal. Some sarcastically asked if she planned to sell Unrivaled jerseys during halftime or offer a promo code during the player announcements. And honestly, at the rate she was going, it wouldn't have been surprising if she had a QR code on her back linking to an Unrivaled merch store. That's how far out of line it got.
So it shouldn't be surprising that these players have decided to allow Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart to be.
Others didn't even bother with jokes. They called her what she was acting like, entitled, unprofessional, and straight-up business illiterate. One fan nailed it by comparing her move to burning your job offer while still in the interview. And that's exactly what it was. She wasn't just making herself look bad. She was putting the entire WNBA under fire. Media figures, veteran players, and even neutral voices were all saying the same thing. This kind of stunt makes it harder for everyone to trust anything about the league right now.
Her being on the CBA negotiations is not a conflict of interest, given she spent a half an hour pushing Unrivaled during the WNBA draft. Shaking my head.
And this entire disaster only shines a bigger spotlight on the person not in the room, Caitlin Clark, the breakout star, the player drawing millions of eyes to every single broadcast, the one who's actually pushing growth, attracting new fans, and making the league more marketable. Yet somehow, she's on the outside looking in while Collier and Stewart run the WNBPA like it's their personal, unrivaled clubhouse. Let's just call it what it is. Collier and Stewart aren't representing the players, they're protecting their own interests. They've hijacked the player leadership and twisted it into a vehicle that benefits their side league, not the actual athletes busting it out on the court every week. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark gets minimal voice in these talks despite being the biggest reason half of these new eyeballs even exist. If Collier's all-star disaster didn't make that clear, this power dynamic surely does. And the double standards are loud. One commentator summed it up perfectly. If Caitlin Clark had done this, they'd call it entitlement. But when Collier does it, they call it empowerment. That quote says everything. Because when the old guard does something shady, it's somehow brave and revolutionary. But when someone new tries to speak up, she's told to sit down, blend in, and pay her dues. That's not a union, that's a clique. Subscribe now for more brutal breakdowns, untold drama, and the truth no one else will say out loud.